Mark Hoppus of Blink-182 fame is literally everywhere. He's almost inescapable, yet it's not just because of his work with Blink-182. I grew up being a massive fan of Blink. I got into them right around the time that they were going on hiatus, the Greatest Hits album was dropping, and for a while I found myself craving more of Mark and the rest of the band. But since their comeback around 2011's Neighborhoods, I've found that Mark and also drummer Travis Barker have been a bit overexposed. Mark Hoppus in particular really started signing up for all of these vocal features, and I'm not entirely sure what the motivating factor is there. Maybe it's putting his kid through college, but then again, you'd think that the Blink-182 royalties are paying out pretty nicely, and I don't see him as being somebody who's very careless with his spending habits, so maybe Mark just likes to put his voice out there and has a hard time saying no. Now, in recent years, I think those vocal features have definitely ramped up, and just looking at his production and feature discography, he's worked with everyone from Motion City Soundtrack, MXPX, Newfound Glory, Boxcar Racer, although of course that was a fantastic feature considering it was a crossover with fellow bandmate Tom DeLonge, State Champs, Goldfinger, Amy Shark, McFly, The Used, Super Whatever, Hot Milk. The list goes on. It's absolutely insane, and I started to notice this around 2015 after he appeared on the track December with Neck Deep, and also another song called Tidal Waves with All Time Low. You could tell that Mark was definitely bringing his signature sound to these tracks, and what got old fast was the fact that he kind of refused to mix it up. Now, of course, there could be limitations in place, whether that be the person asking for the feature said, oh yeah, just come on and drop some Blink-182 fire on the track, or whatever it might be. I've seen this as kind of a growing problem, that Blink are looked to as like that band, like maybe the 90s were Green Day, the early 2000s are Blink, and they're like, oh, can we get you on this track? Can we feature you? Can we at least reference your track? Big stars like Halsey and beyond have name-checked Blink-182 in songs, and that's made Halsey and the Chainsmokers and so many more just kind of see Mark and Travis as these go-to guys to tap for a feature. I've actually been sitting on this video idea for a while. I've been thinking about Mark Hoppus in particular, the way that he puts himself out there and works with a lot of people in rock, everybody from Owl City, more so on the poppier side, to Newfound Glory and All Time Low and Goldfinger. There's a lot of names in the mix, of course. And just this year alone, 2020, we've seen Super Whatever, Hot Milk, The Used, and McFly, so it's interesting to see. I think if you enjoy this video, and if you do, then please drop a like on it, then let me know in the comments if you'd like to see me talk about Travis Barker, because I think he's an interesting case as well, given his contributions on drums and percussion and production when it comes to hip-hop and rock. Mark's list of features dates all the way back to 1998, around the time that Blink-182 were really starting to break, with Enema of the State that was just around the corner, and Dude Ranch was really taking off. He contributed vocals to 2 songs for the Ataris, a band who you might know for their cover song, The Boys of Summer. He put his voice on That Special Girl and My So-Called Life. It all started there, and I think that there were some really interesting moments where he appeared on backing vocals. I mean, say what you will about Simple Plan, but I'd Do Anything still slaps, and Mark is contributing vocals to that track. Elevator with Boxcar Racer was another one that I really did enjoy, and he made some interesting choices. I mean, I thought Commit This to Memory, his contributions to the Motion City Soundtrack album, were nice, and he even ended up producing My Dinosaur Life in 2012. I think that Mark Hoppus kind of started to lose his footing around 2012, somewhere between there and 2015. He started tapping himself out and allowing himself to fall into these generic tendencies. When Mark comes in, you know that his part is probably going to be a little bit slower, maybe a bit more bass heavy considering he's a bassist and a vocalist himself, and with Mark being such a likable guy, I don't want to come in here and seem like I'm trying to gut him and tear him apart and say, oh, this is something I can't enjoy at all because he's done it so many times. Granted, he does have a very similar routine that he entertains when he comes and lends his voice or even his production credentials. You can tell that maybe they bring in the bass and dial that up a bit because he's a bassist as well as a singer, and I do think he's very talented at it, but we can all fall into our safe spaces, our routines that might feel a little bit cliched after a while. I think I noticed it mainly around 2015 once he contributed to Neck Deep and All Time Low, and I started seeing him as that pop punk guy that people just tap because they want a certain type of song. And again, like I mentioned, perhaps that can create a dilemma where he feels forced to just kind of make a certain type of song, and some don't see this as a huge issue, a huge problem, but I just see it as this stagnant place for rock and for pop punk and for tapping in a feature. It's like if I could compare it to rap or hip hop for a second. If I had $10 for every time Nicki Minaj had turned in a forgettable, just throwaway guest verse, then I'd probably be very rich and wouldn't be sitting here criticizing Mark Hoppus features right now. But at the end of the day, Mark Hoppus is to rock and perhaps pop punk what another rapper would be to all of the people who just dial them up and say, oh, this is the hot artist to have on this year. Is DaBaby the feature? Is it Roddy Ricch? Is it Lil Wayne back in the day? I remember him being everywhere. Mark Hoppus is to rock what Lil Wayne was to like 2000s hip hop. Now look, it definitely goes past Mark Hoppus, and he's somebody who just seems like he likes to stay busy. He has a couple of different projects, whether that be writing for Blink-182 and producing for someone, or even his side project with Alex from All Time Low, Simple Creatures. He has his hands in a lot of different things, and I understand the drive and the persistence, but at the end of the day, if you're not really doing much to mix it up, it just starts to become like, oh my god, groan, roll my eyes, I see Mark Hoppus featured, and I preemptively judge it. Now, have there been good Blink-182 features in recent years and also good Mark Hoppus features? Sure, I don't doubt that. I have not heard every single one because there's just so many of them, but it is very hit or miss. For example, I really loved Scumbag, Goody Grace featuring Blink-182, really just Travis Barker and Mark Hoppus, but still a fantastic song. But on the other side of the fence, I didn't really think that the Used with the song The Lighthouse that Mark was on, I didn't really feel like it did all that much because we've heard it before. Mark Hoppus definitely brings a distinct edge to music that he writes. You know that it's him, and that's a good calling card, a good trademark to be able to know instantly that this is either Blink-182 or it's something that Mark Hoppus touched with his production choices. It can also be your Achilles heel if you do not bend, you do not break, and you do not innovate in really any way. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section down below. Has Mark Hoppus been overexposed, or is it something you've just kind of grown accustomed to, like, oh, another Mark Hoppus feature, cool, I'm going to be checking that out. I will say that I appreciate when he goes out there for different types of artists, like the Amy Shark feature on Psycho, I thought was interesting, and even the Hot Milk feature, they're an up-and-coming band, I thought that was kind of cool that he hopped on a remix there. So let me know what you guys think in the comments section down below. I know many of you might not fully agree, but I hope you understand where I'm coming from. If you enjoyed the video, then please drop a like and consider subscribing to the channel. If you'd like to see another Blink-182 themed video, then tap the card on screen now. And other than that, you can find me on social media and my Patreon at the links that you see in the description, and I'll be back for more soon on Beyond ARTV.